You've heard it a million times, right? Just say no. Sounds easy enough, but then you find yourself in the moment nodding your head yes while every single part of your being is screaming no. It can be so frustrating. So what gives? Why is that simple piece of advice so hard to follow sometimes? Well, let's get into it. And when you can't say no, that's when the nasty inner voice kicks in, doesn't it? You start beating yourself up. You think, why am I so weak? Why do I always let this happen? And as therapist Matt Fox notes, that self-attack can be brutal, turning a tough moment into one that feels deeply shameful. But here's a really important question. What if it's not you? What if it has absolutely nothing to do with being weak or being a pushover? What if it's something happening deep inside your body, a reaction that's firing off before you even have a chance to think? This idea is a total game changer. According to therapist Annie Wright, for a lot of us, our nervous system has basically been trained by past experiences. It learned that setting a limit, that saying no, could lead to something bad, like someone getting furious or even leaving us. So that panicked feeling you get, that's not weakness. It's your body's built-in alarm system trying to protect you based on old data. And yep, there's a sciencey name for it. Neuroception. Dr. Stephen Porges coined the term. Think of it as your body's automatic, unconscious threat detector. It's running 24/7, scanning your environment way below your conscious awareness. So before you can even think, should I agree to this? Your body has already decided if it feels safe. That's why the reaction feels so immediate and so powerful. Okay, so we know our bodies are wired by the past, but what does that actually look like in our relationships and daily lives? Well, it usually shows up in one of three main boundary styles. Let's break them down, and you can see which one might sound a little familiar. This analogy from author Terry Cole is just perfect. Seriously, imagine it. A house with no fence, no locks, not even a front door. That's the deal with porous boundaries. Anyone can just wander in and out, bringing their drama and their demands with them, and you're left feeling totally exposed. So here you can really see the two extremes. On one side, you've got the porous style. That's where you might overshare, take on everyone else's stuff, and you're just terrified of people not liking you. Then, on the complete opposite end, you have the rigid style, building massive walls, keeping everyone at a distance, and never letting anyone get close enough to hurt you. But the goal, of course, is that sweet spot right in the middle, healthy boundaries. These aren't brick walls, and they're not a wide-open door. They're more like a fence with a gate that you control. You get to decide who to let in and when. You can honor your own needs and still have a healthy give and take with people. It's all about being both flexible and firm. All right, let's get a little more specific. As we go through these next couple of lists, just kind of notice what resonates. And remember, the goal here isn't to judge yourself, not at all. It's just about awareness. You can't change a pattern until you can actually see it. Does any of this sound familiar? If you have porous boundaries, you often feel responsible for how everyone else feels. You absorb their problems like a sponge, and saying no feels almost physically painful because your nervous system is screaming that if you don't comply, you're going to be rejected. And then there's the other side of the coin, the rigid style. This is usually a protective shell, a fortress you built after getting hurt. If porous is a house with no door, rigid is a castle with the drawbridge pulled up tight. Asking for help feels impossible, and letting people in feels way too risky, so you just keep a safe distance from pretty much everyone. So what if you recognize yourself in one of those styles? What do you do now? Well, here is the really good news. These are learned behaviors, which means you can learn new ones. So what does that path forward actually look like? Here's a really great 4-step plan to start. First, just notice, get curious about what your body is telling you. A tight chest, a pit in your stomach, that's your data. Second, buy yourself some time. You don't owe anyone an instant answer. Let me get back to you is a magical phrase. Third, practice. Saying no is a muscle you have to build. And finally, be kind to that younger, scared part of you. Let that part know that the adult you is here now to keep it safe. You know, when your alarm system is going off, it's really hard to think straight. That's why having a few of these simple phrases ready to go can be a total lifesaver. Notice how clear and direct they are. No big explanation needed. Not this time is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone anything more. So, what does this all boil down to? At the end of the day, it's about realizing that setting boundaries isn't mean or selfish. It is a fundamental act of self-care and self-respect. It's you deciding on the rules of engagement for your own life. And I think this quote from Brené Brown just says it all. This reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? It's not about pushing people away. It's about having the courage to love yourself enough to say my needs matter too. And yeah, sometimes that might disappoint someone else.
But learning that you can survive that disappointment, that's real courage.
So, I'll leave you with this question. What is one small, manageable boundary you can set today? We're not talking about some huge confrontation. Maybe it's just deciding not to answer a text after 9 p.m. Maybe it's saying no to a small favor. Maybe it's just giving yourself 10 minutes of quiet time. What's one tiny step you can take today just to honor yourself?